You're listening to The Channel Today with Jonny Rae on UCTV.
Hello and welcome to my new show, which is called The Channel Today with Jonny Rae. I didn't choose the name of this show. I'm not that arrogant, but there's a bit of rhyming in there, so we kept it. This is the first show that we're doing with UC Advanced Magazine, of course part of the Stock in the Channel, News in the Channel family. I've joined the guys recently to help them host this show and come up with some good, creative and engaging content for the audience. So in this episode, the first episode, I'm joined by Gamma. It's going to be a Gamma themed episode, and we've got Will Morey in the first instance for a big interview where we have a good old conversation about his past, about the Pragma acquisition, about what new products are coming to market and everything else in between. After that, we jump into a conversation with Tom Chedham about their new product, Fibre Exchange. A bit more from my background. We have a really good conversation about the fibre world and how they're bringing altnets into the portal and trying to provide resellers more choice and better competitive pricing in the market. We talk about how altnets are desperate to get those opportunities and now have larger business footprint. Gamma have done the hard work and made all the integrations. It's not easy bringing all of those different networks into one portal, and they've managed to do it, so that's really, really exciting. And finally, I'm joined by Matt Barnett to have a go at our game called Beat the Chair. In Beat the Chair, our contestants have 2 sets of questions, 1 set of 5 in their specialist area. After that, they will be moving into the general knowledge quiz. They have 2 minutes to answer 10 questions. I'll tell them if they're correct, they can choose to pass, and if we have time at the end, I will let them re-answer those questions. At the end of the year, we will announce who's at the top of the table and who's done the best. But if you're watching along, you're going to get an idea of who's winning. So we really hope you enjoy this show. Please keep in tune. We're going to be pushing this out on all major platforms where you may listen to your podcast. Of course, we're going to be pushing it out on YouTube and on our socials as well. So enjoy.
And now for the big interview with Jonny Rae, only on UCTV.
Welcome to the first episode of UCTV, and for the first segment I'm joined by Will Morey from Gamma. And Will, what is your position?
I'm the managing director here looking after Channel. Absolute pleasure to be here.
This section we're going to be having a conversation and a few questions to understand more about Will, his position within Gamma and how he sees the channel and the opportunity. So thank you very much, Will, for joining us.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Well, I'm going to ask you some generic, random, and a couple of past life questions to get a bit of an understanding of what you're about, even though 90% of the listeners are going to know who you are and what you're about. But I think it's a good opportunity for us to have a bit of a natter about how you became to the role that you're in and what's happening that's new. So for me, when I think of you, I think of Pragma. And when I think of Pragma, I think of a company that was a traditional PBX supplier, but managed to actually keep up with the times. You transitioned to cloud perfectly. Your resellers took it on board and came into the 20th century with you. But then you took it a step further in creating SaaS products for resellers that suddenly boosted revenue overnight, came out of a completely fresh sales model that no one had ever thought of, and somehow just blew up completely with Candio and other products. So I think Pragma done very well in that respect, and of course Pragma was you. So
there's a really important point there. It definitely wasn't me. There was a whole team, but particularly there was Tim Brooks, who was my business partner since day dot. And of course, way back when, a chap called David George, who Tim and I worked with for many years, who was the original founder of an organization called Crane. And he was very influential on both of our careers. And he was the guy who put the money into Pragma to enable us to make it happen. We put in the sweat. David put in the sort of a hell of a lot of smarts and a hell of a lot of guidance and a hell of a lot of money that enabled us to make it happen. So it definitely wasn't just me. And
I agree.
A bunch of wonderful resellers as well who made the journey a hell of a lot of fun along the way.
Absolutely right. So who was the actual, who would you say was the mastermind behind Candio?
I think that was probably something I was actively involved in, but Tim was very much part of that journey as well. We saw some things going on in the market that we thought were interesting. We'd started to work with a Dutch organization and a fantastic entrepreneur called Dan Donders. Dan is a good friend and a really, really smart guy, very successful entrepreneur. He brought some products to us, one of which was a product called Web Listings, and we started to experiment with how we could take that to market. And Pragma's ethos was always, the smarts are out there, you just need to tap into them. And so we did what we always did. We went out to our channel partners and said, what do you need? What's important to you right now? How could we make this a success? And we were incredibly privileged to be able to get time with people like Ralph Gilbert at Focus, Chris Morrissey at Lilly, and Adrian Jackson. People like Malik and Barnett at BDR, I'd cite as well, and Jay Ball down at Flowtech. Lots of people and so many others. I'd go on for ages and use up the whole time talking about them. But their insight and the way they were open and sharing, because the whole of Pragma thing was about creating a community around a product. And so whenever we had an idea, sometimes it was a bit shit, sometimes it was quite good, but it only got to be really good by constantly refining it and developing it with our partners. And that's what made it sometimes, we were able to hit on something really successful, like Candio, where people said to us, we want something we can sell digitally. We don't want to have to sell it with expensive people. We want something that can have high impact at low cost. So we targeted product that cost a little bit less ideally than 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks. So it's sub $9.99, ideally a bit more. And we wanted something that enabled people to build their recurring revenue. And that was the kind of the insight behind that. And Tim and I got stuck in and made it a reality.
So then how did it all come about with the acquisition from Gamma? And how have you found merging into the purple bubble?
So a little bit before that, I essentially bought Tim out. He was 10 years my senior, and we're probably about 9.5. He'll want me to correct that. But it was always the case that at some point I'd step up and he was looking to take a step back and do some other things. And so I managed to structure a deal where I was able to buy Tim out, raise some money. We bought another business in called Techland, which was quite nice at the same time. And then I started to build out what we call the EnableX group. And that was a combination of Pragma, Candio, and Techland, all quite different. Techland was sort of enterprise technology based on session border controllers with ribbon. And then Pragma did its thing with IPEX, the Ericsson LG platform, and Candio we've already touched on. So 3 businesses created as a group. Built that up for about sort of 2.5 years. And what I started to see was the market changing. What I could see was that, the need for scale was absolutely there. I think Ericsson, LG, as it was at that time, were pushing us really heavily to scale more and think about how we could grow faster. I looked at private equity, looked at some trade sale options, worked with the guys at Knight, who I can't speak highly enough of, Paul Billingham, Dave Middleton, who's now at Flowtech, and some of the other team there were fantastic. And we'd worked with them for about 3 or 4 years. So we were already on a track with quite a clear plan. And then what we were able to do is execute on that, and they helped us. And we looked at a number of deal options, and Gamma was the best on the table. And in terms of the experience of getting into that business, actually, it's been phenomenal. I had my fears and concerns, as you do when you've built something up and your business is your baby. But Gamma have been genuinely outstanding, and they're a great bunch of people with a very similar ethos and a really similar culture and mindset. It's all about the partner. It's all about putting them at the heart of your business, listening, understanding, and acting on what they're doing. People like Matt Warboys and Mark Bowden, who both work for me and do a phenomenal job out there in the channel. All of the teams underneath them do an outstanding job, and they all bring that same energy, that same culture as I saw in Pragma, but it there in Gamma, absolutely 10x as well. So it's been a lovely place to land, and the leadership team there with Andrew Belshaw, John Murphy, who I work directly into in the Exco, are again, really good guys and very supportive of continuing that absolutely channel-friendly thinking that made Gamma really what they are.
That's going to be one of my questions, to be fair. So do you think there was a big similarity in cultures when you came across? Because when you think of Gamma, you think of resellers who are incredibly sticky. They're very, very good at keeping a loyal base. Once that partner's on, they tend to not go elsewhere and tend to just sell more with them. And did you have that similar culture within Pragma? And why do you think Gamma are good at keeping resellers sticky?
Yes, in answer to you, that was absolutely the Pragma strategy. Pragma was very much about having a small number of partners with very sticky relationships. To add a new partner in Pragma was really difficult. You used to have to, as a salesperson, come in and make a business case and commit to a number, and then you had that number added to your target. Because what we didn't want is lots of abortive partner relationships where people just slapped the logo on the website and moved on. For us, adding a new partner was a big thing, and we worked a really tight reseller model where we were all about growing without having to add significant numbers of partners. We did the opposite every year at our annual conference to most people, where a lot of people would talk about how many partners you had and the growth. We'd say we've done 20% revenue increase. We've done it with the same number of partners or less. And we used to have an active process of trimming our partner base. Gamma did it very effectively in a different way, but with much more scale. And they, again, were able to bring stickiness. And I think they did that through a similar approach to what I was talking about, really innately understanding what enabled a reseller to grow. And they were very good at creating commercial propositions and support mechanisms that enabled partners to look at Gamma as an extension of their business and a support to their growth plan. And Gamma over the years, and I like to think Pragma in the same way, I always use the same phrase. When I talk to a partner, I say, our aspiration is to play a meaningful role in your growth journey. What can we do to help you grow your business? How can we be meaningful to you? So when you look back in 5 years' time and you've done whatever with your business, you've grown 10x, you've moved into a new office, you've flogged it and you're sitting on your yacht, whatever it is, I want you to look back and think, actually, those guys helped me out and they helped me grow my business and they played a meaningful role in getting me, no matter how small it was, hopefully it was meaningful in some way in getting them there.
How do you see the channel changing and evolving, and what is you and your team's role in that?
I mean, the beauty of what we do is the channel is constantly changing. It has been, everybody has always talked about, what's the channel going to be in 5 years' time? I've been in this gig quite a long time. I did my first channel role in telco in 1997. So I've been at it a fair while, and there's always talk about disintermediation, what's going to happen to the channel, blah, blah, blah. The channel stays fresh and relevant because the people in it are really, really smart and capable entrepreneurs in the main. We're incredibly lucky to work with some of the smartest people out there. There's relatively low barriers to entry to get into what we do. And that means you get some phenomenal people coming in, recognizing opportunity and just, creating businesses and making stuff happen. How's the channel going to grow and change? I think an increasing shift towards MSP style models. I think the days of the traditional, telco VAR as we knew it in its heyday is probably not going to be there as we saw it. I think we're seeing lots more people using, much more, moving towards much more of an MSP model, especially because of the kind of the partner economics around that and the value of IT support contracts and the sort of the trust that's there for the people who are driving that. I think as well, the growth and the exit opportunities, if you've got a strong IT business versus a predominantly voice out business, are different as well. And that attracts a different kind of entrepreneurial thinking, that flow down of PE mindset of, the multiple on an IT business is going to be greater than the multiple on a voice business. All of that sort of good stuff plays into that. So people will adapt to that. They're agile. They always have done. What are we going to do? We're going to keep supporting partners on their growth journey. We're going to keep making sure that we listen and we understand what people need to grow and grow quickly. Voice plays a role in that. You'll see we're bringing more and more products to market to be more and more relevant. Partnership with Cisco and Webex, I think, is hugely relevant to that journey because that's a much more MSP-centric proposition. Our partnership with Microsoft and Operator Connect, our partnership with Ericsson, where we're going to be much more specialist. Horizon continuing to provide that really strong transactional capability and other products in there too around fiber, etc. So we've got to listen and we've got to act.
Yeah, and I think that's key, right, what you said there. Say, for a traditional voice player to start to migrate into that MSP world, which they all want because there is a higher multiple, you're absolutely right. Unless they acquire an IT company, which many of the big ones are doing, for some of the smaller guys, they have to rely on their wholesalers like you to hold their hand into some of these new MSP-focused products and say, look, it's not as scary as you think. Here's some products we know you'll get on with and your current operations can withstand to sell and support on a basis. So That's my
It's those little steps, exactly as you say, that then make a difference. And then that builds the confidence to see the deals coming through. It opens up more customer opportunities. And yes, SafeWeb for us was a phenomenal product for that, because it was a very easy entry point into cybersecurity. It's not a full cybersecurity suite. It's never going to be. But is it great at engaging an SME, in a cybersecurity conversation and getting them on the journey of cyber essentials? Absolutely it is. And does that open opportunities up for you to talk about IT and add other richness around the cybersecurity landscape? 100% it does. So it's lean into those supplier relationships and partnerships.
Any recent announcements, launches or milestones you would like to highlight in this conversation?
Well, this is proper PR stuff, isn't it? Did our guys?
I know, I know. Well, let's say,
I mean, I think it's hopefully no secret in the market that we're absolutely flying with Webex. It's been absolutely transformational in the market for so many of our partners, and there's such a strong roadmap. There's so much stuff coming out with the kind of AI capability. So we're looking in the near future at the AI kind of receptionist capability, but the AI capability around transcription, around, when you transfer a call, the call is transferred with context and a full transcription of what's been said, so you don't have to repeat yourself. All of those little things, we're landing really practical use cases all the time. And the beauty of the Webex relationship is you've got a partner, and this isn't a number I'm authorized to quote, so I'm making it up, but let's say they're spending £500 million on R&D in Webex. It could be double that, it could be triple that, I don't know. But it's a hell of a lot of money. It's very difficult for a niche vendor to keep up with that kind of R&D. And that means every day we deliver mind-blowing developments on what we can deliver into the market through Webex. And that is so exciting. Got great stuff going on with IPEX. I spent this week with the team from Ericsson, who are over here in the UK, and so much good stuff coming through there with their portfolio, which is probably a little bit more specialist. And talking to them about their AI journey, their sort of capability around APIs and delivering much more integrated solutions into other aspects of the sort of technology stack. And then we've got Fibre Exchange, which I know Tom's been talking to you about, which again, we think the real game changer. We've gone in with relatively basic version of Fibre Exchange, and we're adding to it all the time, which is how we like to kind of innovate and build product, because it's all about collaboration. So we go out with something that is a foundation, and then we build on it very, very rapidly based on partner feedback. And that's what we've done in that space.
I said this in a separate conversation, actually. Do you think there's a limit to what AI can deliver? Because there's only so many features that are built within a telephone system. So are we going to race to be able to deliver AI-based features and then just hit a brick wall within like 12 months' time? I.e., we've got AI transcript, we've got AI agents. Like, is there a limit? Will there be a block? Do you know what I mean?
I think it gets exciting when I'm a bit of a geek. I'll own up to that. I'm a massive geek. I love technology. I love what we do. I've been thinking a lot about the role that AI plays. As I've started to understand it more, you've got people like, Salesforce adopting a headless strategy. I don't know whether you've read about this, where they're moving a kind of interface layer. You've then got these things with MCPs, Model Context Protocol, where now every AI has a standard MCP, which is essentially a bit like an API, but it means you can kind of integrate and other AIs become accessible. I think starting to play with that and that interface layer, and how Copilot, how Webex MCP, how all of these different layers of AI capability can start to work together and complement each other. It's a little way out. That's incredibly exciting. And I think that's where some of those features, it's maybe not about adding more features. I think, telephony's always been pretty feature rich. There's probably, 1,000 features on an old school PBX, of which people use 52 or something. The reality is, I think these integrations, these MCPs, all of that sort of stuff is all about unlocking capability and empowering people, sticking technology in people's hands that is incredibly usable and incredibly impactful. That's what really excites me at the moment.
Do you have like an centralized internal AI team that you had to put together very last minute, or is everybody within their own teams having to learn AI? Do you know what I mean?
A bit of both, to be honest. We've got AI teams centrally who are thinking about this stuff. Then we've got people within the business that are working really hard on constantly looking at it and how it's applicable. We've got a great relationship with Microsoft, where they're helping us with Copilot and making sense about the role that plays. We've got a fantastic platform called Snowflake, which is about data ingestion and the sort of data infrastructure layer. that really helps us to look at huge amounts of data and then enable kind of natural language interrogation of that, plus then bringing kind of themes and context out of it that we can't find. Great example of a practical application is we run a program called PX, Partner Experience, where everybody at senior leadership and exco level in our business has to call a customer, 3 customers a quarter, and they have a structured conversation recorded on Teams where we ask, what's going on? How are we doing? Is there anything we can learn from competitors? What's happening in the end user market? We're just asking for feedback, really. That's then recorded, transcribed, uploaded into Snowflake. All of those conversations across are then read by Snowflake, and then it's feeding us out essentially the pulse, the heartbeat of the market in terms of the channel. What are people looking for? Where can we do better? Where can we challenge? What are the new products that are interesting? And it's AI's ability to take hundreds of conversations and hundreds of data points and turn it into real clear thinking that enables us to drive our channel strategy based on what our partners want, not what some analyst thinks in a remote office.
Yeah. You've got a long list of products that you just spoke about there, let alone what else is within the business. How does Gamma keep their resellers up to date with it and then trained on it, and then at some point selling it? Like, so then you might have 15 products that could benefit the reseller, but that must be a challenge, one, as a whole, because you need a centralized infrastructure for resellers to be able to physically see it, maybe on a portal. 2, you need to be able to tell them about it, so you need men on the ground. And 3, you need to get them excited enough to see that there's margin. Like, that's hard work when you're in an organization of this size, of this many products now, surely, compared to what you were doing before.
Yeah, no, it really is. And we've invested quite heavily recently in sales enablement. So there's a lady called Helen Rannigan who runs that for me, who I've worked with for, well, actually on and off since 1997, actually. She's phenomenal, really good person. And she's now leading that team. We've brought some great capability in to support her. And so sales enablement is key, because it's just to get our sales team to understand it, let alone then how you get it into the market is a challenge. So a lot of investment going in there. And then a lot of investment in sort of partner enablement and channel marketing and the fantastic work we're doing there. And then I think what we've got is a fantastic team of BDMs whose role now is to look into that big central purple bubble, whatever you want to call it, or circle, that gamma goodness that sits at the heart of our business, be it our network, be it our governance and compliance capability, be it the products that we've talked through, whatever it is, and work out what's right for that reseller. And that only happens by saying, where are you going? What are you trying to achieve? And how can we play, back to my original question, a meaningful role in the growth journey that you're on? If you start with that, and I love Stephen Covey, I don't know whether you've read it, the whole 7 Habits, Highly Effective People. Seek first to understand before you seek to be understood. And I preach that into our team, because if you understand where the partner's trying to get to, you've got this beautiful menu of options within that central central piece of kind of gamma goodness, where you can say, actually, what we need to do with you is these 4 things. And it might be really strong compliance and SIP enablement for a nice CX platform. It might be Webex and helping them drive that. It might be IPEX and going after niches in their customer base. It might be Fibre Exchange. It might be all of those things, because they're a really big organization. But the smarts now is about the BDM being able to draw on all of that goodness and make sure we then put the proposition on the table that enables them to achieve their growth journey. We don't try to talk about product. Product is the last in the conversation, never the first. What do you want to achieve? Where are you going? And how can we play a role in that journey? And then we get to product, the very last bit of the conversation. Yeah.
So Gamma are also sticky on the point of, you were talking then about BDMs, and let's make a note here as well, like you were saying earlier, you haven't jumped ship either. You know, that acquisitions is made and you've made yourself very well in bed with Gamma. And the same for the BDMs, right? A lot of the BDMs that I've known since I started in comms, a lot of employees altogether have been there for years, over decades.
Yeah.
And you haven't left either. So what's the secret sauce to keep employees? This is a bit separate. What's the secret sauce that makes employees never want to leave?
For me, there's something about compelling vision. That is a starting point. Genuinely, you know, that's what fires me up in the morning. You know, I don't wake up in the morning and think, yeah, I'm going to sell some phones today. I do wake up and think, yeah, actually, I can hang out with some amazing entrepreneurs, some amazing salespeople, and think about how we can drive UK and how we can make a real difference in their business. And that fires me up. And I think that fires a lot of people up in this business. We've got a great culture. Yeah, team sits at the heart of it, all of those things. And over the years, it does come back to that very boring answer to your question. It's all down to the people. You want to be here because of the people you're sitting next to, because of the team and the drive that they've got, the energy in the organization. You look across and you think, bloody hell, they're good. I want to be part of this. And that's certainly how I felt. It's about the people and hanging out with people who want to make a real difference and drive on.
How did the team take to you coming in as an outsider? Because you've got some legendary names under your team now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm incredibly proud to have those names in my team and be able to work with those people. It's a massive privilege and an honor. I tried to be pretty sensitive to that coming in. I've loved working with them. I think naturally I'm a listener, and I'm not going to sort of block anything other. Any good idea, I want to listen. I want to understand. And I've had a fantastic welcome. So I've been really, really fortunate to work with those people and inherit a phenomenal team. Yeah, they really are. Yeah, it's important to remember the people that created the team as well, and how lucky I've been to do that, and also seeing those individuals move onward and upward. And yeah, Daryl's a fantastic individual who built a great team here at Gamma. I was very lucky to inherit that. And it's great to see him flying at S2G and driving that business forward and having great fun there. So, big thanks and shout to Daryl.
What advice would you give to a partner or a reseller who's been sitting happy, right? I'm going to take this very flat question. I'm going to make it a bit better. So they've got 15 employees and they've been pretty steady for the last 7 years. They rely on lots of internal business coming in. They're a recommendation-based business. But they want to start to jump. They want to start to take that leap. They've been selling the same products for the last 7 years as well. They focus on voice and connectivity. They haven't got any external pushing salespeople. So they're that typical flat reseller that you might know, who's got always sat steady, sat with the same products and never really gone out there to hunt for sales. What advice would you give to that managing director who sat there and said, right, this year, over the next 3 years, I'm going to build this business up because you know what? I want to go to Mallorca and buy a huge villa. So I need to have this push for the next 3 years. What could they do both product wise? And I know you're a bit of a marketing man as well. So that's a two-part question. What could they look at within the market that's going to help them grow from a product point of view? And what could they do from a sales side of it?
I think the first thing is a bit predictable for me to say, because it's what I think I've been touching on all morning, is share the burden, share the load, partner. Because, the only way we grow as a business is if our partner grows. We put all of our energy into that, and we've got a fair bit of resource. We've got a ton of really smart, capable people who care about growing a partner, and we've got a lot of resources to do that. So the first thing I'd say is if you could have that conversation where you want to say, well, this is where I want to get to. And we have very open conversations exactly like that. I want to sell in 3 years' time and this is my plan. Share that with us and we will share that load and help you make it happen, because we've got lots of experience of doing that and we've got lots of people who are driven to make it happen. So firstly, share the load. Secondly, I think there's an aspect of, I'm really into sort of vertical markets as well. I think about who you want to sell to, think about your proposition and really tune it to a narrow group of people. I'm not a massive believer in vanilla. I think it's all about being able to go out and look at different verticals and demonstrate you can speak their language, you can understand their challenges, and you can put technology on the table that solves outcomes. And that's increasingly what people are buying at the moment in the market. Is they're buying outcomes. No one wants to buy features. No one wants to buy technology. They're buying things that makes a genuine impact and change in their business, because it's tough out there. You're either trying to save money, you're trying to grow faster, you're trying to optimize the amount of human resource you have in your business so you can be more competitive. All of those things. You've got to be able to tap into that thinking and that mindset. I think the other thing is the position you're in as a salesperson and a marketeer is the best position any sales and marketeer has ever been in history. The tools you can access for virtually zero money that enable you to put across phenomenal propositions, to record podcasts, to deliver great tools, to utilize AI, to listen to each and every conversation you have with a customer and then tune your proposition and your communications around it. There are so many examples of how you can use technology and how somebody who's a startup with 1 or 2 people can use tools that blow my mind to make a difference in the end user, the ability to win an end user. Embrace that, get excited about it, and shape your business around it. And the people who are winning in the market at the moment that I see, who've got, massive organic growth, are doing exactly those things.
Perfect. That's a great place for us to finish as well, Will. Thank you very much. I think that was perfect.
Absolute pleasure, as always.
It's time for Product Watch with Jonny Rae, only on UCTV.
So moving on to the next section of our show, which is called Product Watch, and I'm joined by Tom Chedham, and we're going to give him a chance to understand a new product within Gamma. So I've actually known Tom for quite a long time, and Tom, you were part of Pragma when they got very reinventive. So Pragma, when I think about Pragma, I think of a traditional. Am I allowed to talk about Pragma? They're not going to. Of course,
I hope so.
Me too. Yeah. I think of a traditional PBX company that managed to keep up with the times, but do one better. Come into the channel, keep up with the times because you were original PBX. Then you went cloud, which went really well. Mm-hmm. But then Candio came along, and you guys got very reinventive. When people think Candio, it was SaaS products that were easy to deploy, made a lot of money on the bottom line, and were simple to use for the customer. So you guys done incredibly well there, and it was a decent acquisition from Gamma's point of view to get you guys on board, and especially allowing you to come on and continue leading products. So that's my little hello. What product are we here to talk about today?
Thank you, mate. I can't take too much credit for the Pragma, Ericsson LG, PBX Cloud reinvention. I was happy to be part of that. I can, the blame for Candio can be well and truly assigned with me. I was heavily involved in that, and I've worked with a hell of a lot of partners with that. Since joining Gamma, I've moved over to look after their connectivity portfolio as well. Having worked in channel for almost what feels like probably 10 years now, it's interesting to see some of the new products that we're bringing in and still some of the space and understanding the pain points that we're trying to resolve. Products I'm here to talk about today it's not so much a product, it's more of a service, but it's Gamma's new way of ordering fibre. It's called Fibre Exchange. The best way I always describe it to people is think of money supermarket, but instead of car insurance and all those other bits and boring things that you buy through that platform, but think connectivity. So it's a single place for you to search for all requirements for fibre. So as it currently stands, customers or our partners can search for availability for BT wholesale, PXE, TalkTalk, and City Fibre. And we are currently adding more and more altnets as we speak. Since the launch at the beginning of the year, the amount of altnets that have been messaging me asking us to be added to the platform, it's been fantastic, really. So it's obviously working very well. The news is out there that we are now have this single platform. But the idea is it's a single platform for all fibre needs and requirements.
Is this both FTTP products and Ethernet?
Just FTTP at the moment. The desire is to bring Ethernet into it as well. The big thing is there's so much choice out there. When I first started, I won't tell you how long I've been in this industry for because it gives away my age. But when I first started, it was super simple, wasn't it? You had FTTC, ADSL, and then you Ethernet, didn't you? And maybe you had something peculiar like ESM or bonded ADSL, but let's not get into that. The thing is now, because there's so many altnets out there, and these altnets then have their versions of those products as well, we're like, right, let's just focus on one thing and do that really well, which is FTTP, so fibre to the premise, and then take the altnets propositions from there. And some of these altnets have really good FTTP offerings, which, to be honest, isn't too far away from an Ethernet. And some of the tech guys will kill me for saying that. But when you look at what comes along with it, you're like, well, you're not that far off an Ethernet.
Yeah, their SLAs are a lot better.
They look at it and go, that is Ethernet, but it's in our world, it's FTTP.
Yeah, I get that. And I agree with you on that because their networks aren't really congested, your contention ratio is really low anyway. And the altnets give you such a good SLA. It's not a million miles off an Ethernet. So I do completely agree with that. And I think
And some of the premium options they do offer as well would be, because they are smaller teams, so they can afford to be able to say, well, look, we will give 24/7 support. We will do 365 days a year quite easily, because they're still young and agile and they can do things like that. And they can do it for such a fraction of the cost that big players like us and BT and the other guys would have to charge an extortionate rate for, that you're just not far off, especially with some of the City Fibre propositions that I've seen and other altnets that we're bringing. Like, you're just not far off it anymore from a lease line.
You got it. You're absolutely right.
So you can see us on.
It's an interesting play from you guys as well, because it's not an easy task to bring lots of different altnets into one platform. And that's down to all the different technologies and infrastructure the altnets have. So you may have a very all-singing, all-dancing, clever portal with your team of developers, but if that altnet hasn't got the technology to be able to push the availability requests through, it can be very, very complex. So you need a giant like Gamma with the huge development resource to be able to undertake it. And I think that's why lots of people try to do this very early on, and it just, it wouldn't work, because there's everybody's got different infrastructure, different tools to push the information through. And it's not just the quoting element. After that, you've got the very difficult task of the provisioning stuff. Can we place this order at this address? Yes, please. Can I send an engineer? That information coming back in, which needs to be fed to the reseller. So it's exciting to see you guys take it up and get it done.
I'm glad you said that, because we have spent, I was very lucky to come at the end of the journey where it was almost done. And it was like, right, Tom, take this kid to school. And that's brilliant. But a lot of our partners have been crying out for this and saying, why haven't you done it? And I think a lot of them did think it was just super easy and super simple, but it's by no means is at all. It was so complex. Like you said, it's as good as we are still reliant on the altnet that we're working with to have that desire to want to do it.
100%. And for the altnets, it's a no-brainer, especially for a Gamma, because they can come on board and suddenly have access to however many thousands of partners that are ready to push it. So they're excited, you're excited. It's just they need that clever tech people in the middle to get it done.
Channel, as me and you were talking about earlier, is very unique. I was saying, like, we were talking off air. Do we say that now in the podcast?
Yeah, we can say that.
Off air, yeah. Yep. We were talking off air about some new lads that have joined me to work in my team who haven't come from the industry, and some of the phrases that we're using, and they were like, we use on a daily basis, and they're like, what the hell does that mean? And I was like, it takes me back to my altnet days when I worked for an altnet, and we were great at B2B, going and finding new customers. What we weren't very good at was wholesale or channel. And what Gamma is very good at, this won't be any surprise to people, is channel. So the fact that an altnet can go, well, brilliant, I can pair up with somebody who is good at channel and gets that, and I don't need to spend years and years and years trying to build a channel proposition and get my name out there to all these different partners. Channel's unusual, and you have to be a certain type of company to embrace that. And I can't think of many that have managed to cross the border of being a good direct business and a good channel business. So I think it is a no-brainer for those altnets that can go out and do door knocking, sell directly to the end user. But sometimes you do need to win it via a partner, and that's what we can bring them.
Answer that spot on, bud. And I don't think a lot of resellers understand how commercially stronger an altnet can be. And I think that's worth making a point about. Like, it's the opportunity when more altnets come on board and have more availability in that platform means so much more for them when it comes to their bottom line. And not just for new business, when it comes to the more altnets you have in that portal, there will be, I assume, a facility for you guys to do bulk checks. So if you've got a base of 2,000 customers that happen to be sat on OpenReach, and maybe BT Wholesale, somebody else, if you can migrate them across to an altnet or various altnets because you have more plugged in, the points on the bottom line can suddenly jump up very, very well. Talking about those Candio days of quickly, adding margin to the bottom line. So I think that's exciting as well.
Yeah, there's a big, obviously, I can't believe we're how many minutes in and we haven't mentioned the switch off, but that's causing people to have to look at altnets, if you like, isn't it? And if you're a channel partner sat there and you're not looking at altnets or not considering a way to do it, somebody else will be, and they will be targeting, especially your ADSL base. I know that we don't want to talk about it or don't really want to look at it because it's ADSL, but if an altnet's got footprint there, if you're not talking to them, either the altnet will be themselves or another partner will be who is 100%. Working on behalf of that altnet. So you're you've either got to embrace it or you've got to accept that you're probably going to lose those customers to altnets at some point, because that's what they're there for. They're there to build, or that's their business model. And obviously the amount that they are out there, it's a good business model and people are doing it.
You're absolutely right.
And sweeping up ADSL basis. So you're right, yeah. If you are a channel partner, look at it, talk to your customers, you can speak to us for availability checks. And if it's available, get them over to an altnet as quickly as possible. And the margin in it is so different.
The time to install is much quicker with an altnet as well. These are smaller teams with like their own engineers who they can say, "Hi, you Dave to. Can you pop it?" Like not to that degree, but they're much smaller. So the time for the reseller to get the product in, not having to wait for a chunky Ethernet or maybe OpenReach FTTP, that as well.
What I found that works really well, especially with some of the altnets we're working with, they know the area. Where for OpenReach, it's just another engineer who goes to site. And like you say, if it's a multi-tenancy building, and that's before in the past was probably quite a complex delivery, but if that's on net for an altnet, it's super easy for them to go into that comms cabinet and just go, yeah, we'll plug that into there and now it's here. Do you know what I mean? It literally works as easy as that. And yeah, the install time, they're a lot more thorough as well, which is the good news. They almost do a Ethernet level site survey for every single order that they're placing, which is crazy, but that's what they do.
Yeah, and they need to get them connections in as well, right? The altnets still need to be hitting targets. They're still in their infancy, a lot of them. They're still under pressure from investors and everything else. So they are going to do everything they can to get your customer connected. So it's good. It's
Most
exciting.
Most will always talk about how many homes and businesses they cover, rather than how many they connect, because obviously that's the bigger number. And that is always their way of saying, we need customers, help us out. And because that's why they're building that footprint. They need people to be connected to it and start paying them.
You're absolutely right. And I think another beauty is as well with Gamma, there's going to be consolidation in the market, but Gamma's always going to have the relationships with the big dogs, because they always have since day dot. And those big dogs are the ones going to be consolidating. So you're never going to have to worry that if you're connecting through Gamma, through one of these altnets, no matter where that altnet goes, that connection's always going to be there, because you're always going to have that original relationship.
A couple of partners I've spoke to that have mentioned that, where it's like, well, the reason we're not working with, I don't want to say an altnet name, but small altnet based anywhere, is because we don't know what the future of that is, and we don't want to be putting our customers with people that we don't necessarily know. But the beauty of launching Fibre Exchange was the bit after selling the connection, the service, the support. Your contract is with us, it's with Gamma, so we will handle all that for you. So whether it's the fault diagnostics, whether it's that, like you say, that altnet does no longer appear in the world anymore and they've been acquired by somebody else, that's our problem to worry about. That's not yours. And it is much better Gamma worrying about that with our multiple thousands of pounds in the bank and our multiple thousand connections than it is for a small partner to be worrying about that who's got 2 customers on this network.
On the head, hit the nail on the head. Fibre Exchange then, how are partners keeping up to date? How will they know when new altnets arrived, and what can we expect?
I think anybody that knows me well enough will know that I am there's a fine line between persistence and just being a pain in the arse, and I try and tread that line really well. There's probably most people who will watch this and know me and think, yeah, bloody hell, we've heard enough from him over the years. They'll know. They'll know. They'll trust me that they'll know. We'll be there before they know about it. So we are working extremely hard to make sure people are updated. The people that don't know me will think, well, bloody hell, that's a strong statement. But the people who do will know I've received multiple emails off me, multiple LinkedIn, multiple phone calls, and know that that's what we're about. I
can 100% back that, as well, as that's how I got to know you first.
I'm sure many people are watching this going, he just persistence is well over there for him. He's just annoying.
Tom, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
No, good to see you.
It's been good chat.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Take it easy.
Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye.
It's time for Beat the Chair. Think you know your stuff. Put your knowledge to the test. Only on UCTV.
So welcome to our next segment, which is Beat the Chair. And I'm joined by none other than Matt Barnett. Hi, Matt.
Morning, Johnny. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It felt a little bit nervous I've heard this is going to be difficult, but I'll give it my best shot.
You'll be absolutely fine. It's not like you're going to be the first out of 50 to go, which is slightly unfair, to be honest, but we'll see how we get on. How long have you been at Gamma? Would you classify yourself as a veteran?
13 years. I'll let you do the classifications, but about 30 years. About 30 years in telecoms and IT, all told.
If you had to choose one person to come and secure a huge, a £13 million deal, it's probably a public sector deal, and it's complex. You're looking at chunky connectivity plays, a huge voice presence of 700 users, and really complex network stuff. You had one person, it was just you, it's your fourth meeting, you've already had 3, but it has to get over the line today because Gamma depends on it. Who are you bringing with you?
That's a good question.
Has to be one person as well.
There has to be one
From past,
person.
from present, it doesn't matter.
Past or present. I'm going to give the plaudits here to Mr. Darryl Pyle.
Very nice. Lucky I added in that past or present bit.
I think Darryl, he was the master of getting things over the line. So let's use Darryl for that one.
I like that.
So, but Darryl will be pleased.
What's been the proudest moment for you in Gamma? And it can be proud in the aspect of a partner, like your partner done something that just made you completely chuffed, or it can be proud about your career or a member of your team.
Oh, crumbs. I mean, there's more than one answer to that. I'm going to have to pick one, obviously, but there's been many moments. It's been a really good 13 years, to be honest. For me, it's probably walking on stage with Louis Theroux at Gammaverse in Birmingham. That's probably, and you know what? It's between him and Joe Marler because they were both very different. But I think interviewing the interviewer was probably the highlight, of my career, scarily, which is, I've got a very low bar, Johnny, very low bar.
How did you get to interact with Louis after or before? Did you get to have a pint with him?
We spent an hour or so together in the green room with a cup of coffee, and just having a chinwag. Yeah, he was a lovely guy.
Okay, like that. One last question as well. These are random before the actual quiz, but it's just so I can get some good knowledge.
Okay.
No, not yet. And these aren't the official Gamma questions either. These are mine, just to get the conversation flowing. But one more for me. If you had to choose one restaurant in London that you had to frequent, that you weren't allowed to go anywhere else ever again, you could only go to one to take partners to for the next, say, 10 years, which restaurant would it be?
You know, weirdly, and I could say something really sort of highfalutin and really, really expensive. And there are a few that I love, like Coq d'Argent's a great restaurant. I've never had a bad meal there. But actually, when you're taking partners out, it's all about making sure that you can cater for everybody around the table. And actually, I'll give a shout out to the Ivy, just behind Liverpool Street. The beauty of that restaurant is, it's nice ambience, but they've got everything on the menu. So if you're a vegetarian, if you like fish, if you like meat, if you like pasta, you can literally cater for everybody there and walk out feeling that you've had a reasonable meal, if not a good meal, and you haven't been completely striped up, which is quite common in London restaurants. I've got to be honest.
Like that. Right, now one last formal question before we start. Gamma's very good at having sticky partners. Once you get a reseller on board, you've got a very good tech. I don't know what the secret sauce is, but they will be with you for the long term, and they'll be happy to hear your additional products, and they'll be happy to take your support on launching whatever you've got to offer. And I know I've given you no prep for this, but why do you think that is? What separates you guys on keeping your resellers happy chappies or happy ladies all the time through?
Oh, do you know, it's not one, it's a mixture of condiments, Johnny. It's not just one sauce, I think. And everybody has everybody will have their own take on this. Even each partner will have a reason why. But I think for me, the overriding thing is we've spent a long time trying to get the channel, trying to understand the channel and what they need. I think that's in our DNA. And one thing that we always try and be is fair and reasonable, and step up and own problems. And I think what channel partners are looking for, amongst all of the other things, product and support and all of that stuff, is trust in their partners. We built trust over many, many years. So I think as long as we keep doing what we're doing and we don't abuse that trust, then we should hopefully remain a sticky partner for many years to come. I never thought I'd say that in an interview, but there you are.
That was good. And that was off the cuff as well. That was off the cuff. I'm impressed. Right, perfect. That's a nice little intro. Let's jump on to Beat the Chair. So for the audience to understand, we've got 5 Gamma-based questions that I'm going to be asking Matt. And then after that, we jump into the format of 10 telco, IT, MSP-based questions. And Matt has to get as many correct out of 10 in 120 seconds, 2 minutes. And then he will forever be stuck on the leaderboard until he next comes on. And we will continue this game for many, many moons to come. So you have pulled the short straw a little bit by being first, Matt. I will give you that. But let's kick off first with the 5 Gamma questions, which aren't timed. It's just 10 times more pressure, because if you get them wrong, then that's not right, is it? So how long have you been at Gamma again?
13 years.
So you need to smash this. Right. Are you ready?
Go on. Fire away.
In what month and year did Gamma transition from an IPO to being listed on the London Stock Exchange?
So we joined the FTSE 250 last May, so 2025.
May 2025. You can calm down a bit now. Yep, you got the first one correct. A nice easy one. Who named the CEO for Gamma Business?
That would be John Murphy. If I got that one wrong, there would be a big problem. Don't confuse him with the CFO and president of Coca-Cola. He is also John Murphy, but probably owns a key pound more.
Right. When and where are the next Gamma conferences? And you need to get this right.
Okay. Well, there are 2 conferences we run every year. One of them I really care about and the other one less so. But that's because there are 2 different sides of the business and I work on one of them. So we've got a conference, I want to say April the 14th. It could be, no, it's May the 14th, actually, I think, which is the GX Summit, which is run by our enterprise team. And I like to think of that as the warm-up for the big event, which is the Gammaverse conference, which is the highlight of my year, where we spend a day with our channel partners on the 8th of October.
And where's that going to be this year?
Q2 Centre in London.
Hey. Do you think you run the best industry event? This is a separate question. Do you think Gammaverse has ever been topped?
I think it gets better every year. It'd be hard for me to, I don't go to all the other ones. So,
That's true.
Would I like to think we run the best industry event? Absolutely. But look, we've got some healthy competition out there, and I'm sure their events are good. But they haven't got many interviewing Joe Marler, which has got to be, it's got to be all right.
100%. Right. Number 4, name 2 acquisitions Gamma has made in the past 5 years. Only 2.
2. Latest one was a big one, Starface in Germany. Chatted a bunch of cloud feeds and capability into our business on the European side of things. We also made an interesting one with a company called Coolwave, which gives us international numbering capability, and that's something we're building out quite a lot at the moment. So a couple of good ones there. There were probably 3 or 4 others I could have mentioned.
Perfect. They are in the list on my answers, so you've won there. How many cloud seats does Gamma serve across the UK and Europe to the nearest million?
Well, I can tell you, Johnny, but I have to kill you. No, I'm joking, obviously. You know what? We haven't got an exact answer. But if we round it up to the nearest million, and we'll be close at 2 million.
Yes, that is correct. Right. Well, you passed the easy part. You passed the 5 Gamma. Yeah. Now this is going to be the challenge. So you've got 10 questions. I'm going to have to time you, and we're going to see how many you get out of 10. So I'm going to let you know if they're correct or not as you answer them. If you can't answer it, you can say pass, and I'll come to it at the end if we've still got time. All right?
Yeah.
So, it's harder for me because I've got to remember which ones you passed, and also we'll tally it up at the end and tell you your score live on the screen instead of me trying to jot down the ones you've answered. Right, you tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
Start the timer. Bill Gates and who founded Microsoft?
Oh, God. The embarrassing thing is I actually work there. Paul Allen.
Yes, correct. The letters PSTN stands for what?
It stands for Public Switch Telephone Network.
Correct. How many bits are in a byte? This is odd.
I think I think there's 4 bits in a byte, isn't there?
Oh, you should have doubled it up.
It's 8.
Oh,
yeah.
that's hard. I don't know how I can't give you that. Sorry. Malware is a word made up from 2 original words. What are they?
Malicious software.
Correct. What is better for transmitting data, copper or fibre?
Fibre.
Correct. What word means to switch a computer off and on again? He's caught me out.
Boot up, reboot.
Yes. Name the IBM computer that beat world chess champion Garry Kasparov in 1997.
It was something like Ulysses or something like that. I can't remember. It was a name like that. No. A representation of a facial expression formed by a sequence of keyboard symbols like punctuation, letters, and numbers is a... Emoji.
Yeah, you've done well to get that, considering your time in the industry. The shortcut for copy on a The shortcut for copy on a keyboard is...
It is Control V.
No, that's paste. It's Control C. It's Control C. It's incorrect, unfortunately.
Come on.
Right, last question, and we've got 7 seconds. The abbreviation DOV stands for... 3,
What's it?
2...
DOD.
DOV. We'll let you run over slightly.
No, come on.
I can't actually
Yeah,
see
right.
it. Hold on.
I'm right. Now I feel about now.
DOV. Let me just scroll to the bottom. Bear with me. Data over voice. Right, Matt, you've done really well. I think you got... There'll be a amount on the screen there, but I think you got 6 or 7. So that's not a bad start at all. That's not a bad start.
Felt like a 7 to me, Johnny. Felt like a 7 all day long.
I think I may have helped you on one there, but I don't know if I give it to you or not. We'll leave it to the judges at the end. But thank you very much for playing Beat the Chair, and I'm sure we'll have you back.
Hey, listen, thanks for having me. Cheers.
Thank you, Matt. Take care.
There you have it, our first episode of the channel today with Jonny Rae. I really hope you enjoyed it. We'll be releasing this type of content and the show once every 2 weeks. If you can, do give us a follow on social media and wherever you're watching or listening to this episode. It was really enjoyable. Thank you again for Gamma coming on and being our first guest. It was really good to have a conversation with the gentleman. Obviously, all veterans within the industry. But tune in next time for another show. Really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.